Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. It's Joanna. These are going to be your messages for the month of December 2018. I'm going to make this very quick because I myself don't like long intros. Please remember that these are general messages. My intent is to give you something to think about, something to look at from a different perspective in order to help you gain clarity and ultimately that you can become a more empowered you. So rather than focusing on predictions, I am focusing on what may come up for you in the month of December and how some of these situations will allow you to see certain things and perhaps to create certain things for yourself that you have not been able to before. So I always intend on giving you as much information as I can in order to help you evolve. And how you take that information and how you apply it, or if you even consider it, that is entirely up to you. What I would encourage you to do is to listen to it at the end of the month, because these messages are really limitless or timeless. There is really the principles that I ask to give can be applied to really any sign in any situation. So it is important for you to listen with an open heart and an open mind and see how it can help you. Of course, listening to the other signs may offer you more guidance, and above all, don't take anything that I say as gospel. Listen with your heart and allow yourself to feel whether it resonates with you or not. Sometimes I will say things that may trigger you. If that happens, it's a good indication that something inside of you is wanting to say something. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Also, if you are interested in a Uranus projections, it's a 7-month projection. That information is down below on the Vimeo page. And let me see if there's anything else. Thank you, of course, always for watching, for sharing, for subscribing, and for private sessions, if that is what you wish. That information is down below. Thank you again so much. Have yourself a wonderful holiday season if you are practicing it or if you are celebrating it. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye. Hello, beautiful Libras. These are going to be your messages for the month of December 2018. I seem to got lost in time. All right, let me tune in first and see what I get from Spirit. All right. I'm seeing some of you being congratulated. Either it is something that you have accomplished, something that is allowing you to move on, or there is some sort of service you are being recognized for, and as a result of that, you somehow move on to bigger and better. Perhaps it represents you creating more of what you are already creating, expanding. That's the idea. That's the feeling that I get. Some of you may be expanding your family, as in someone is pregnant. For those of you who this is meant for, congratulations to you. For some of you, it's your daughter is pregnant. And if you don't know, how do I say this? Obviously, everyone who listens doesn't mean their daughter is pregnant. But there's a message in there for somebody for whatever reason. Maybe it's because you're expecting it. So that's interesting. All right. And I'm getting a letter D for name, and it's a female name, but its first letter is D. So whoever this is for, there you go. All right. I also feel that the next several months is a time for you learning how to take charge, or to take charge back in your life. Whether it is you feeling like you are not in charge in your life, or it is a certain thing in your life, a certain situation, I feel like you are getting the quote-unquote proverbial power back. Now, what I want to say about this, I used to talk in terms of taking power back or giving power away. There's really no such thing, because it has been shown to me very recently that we are power all the time. It is just we choose not to see it for whatever reason, and choose, I'm using the word choose loosely, but we're not seeing our power because something is blocking it. So when I say that the next several months is all about you taking your power back, it is really, for me to say, would be more accurate for me to say that you are learning how to, number one, better treat yourself, but it's based on you recognizing yourself as a valuable person. So this is clearly for those of you who perhaps struggle with a bit of confidence, and I feel that's very prevalent in today's society. It doesn't matter where you are and how old you are or who you are. But if you are, or you have been feeling, particularly the last 3 or 4 months, a little bit low on energy, or maybe feeling a bit funky in terms of self-esteem, I feel over the next several months, you will see marked improvement in the way you feel about yourself. And I also believe it has to do with the energies we are transitioning to. We are moving into a higher vibration, and it's a higher vibration is a, actually, how do I describe higher vibration? It's a different level of resonance. In other words, when we move into higher vibration, we naturally will begin to feel lighter, because higher vibration is lighter. Okay, I'm supposed to say this to you. All right. So that is exciting. Many of you have been going through the proverbial end of a cycle, which means you have been putting things together, putting things to bed, finalizing certain things, finalizing certain projects, looking at a way to escape currently from where you are, or making certain choices necessary for you to build a brand new foundation. And I feel like many of you are at this pivotal point where many choices and decisions will be made by you with universe's help, to help you distinguish yourself in some way, shape, or form. Now, I'm supposed to say what I mean distinguish. Distinguish to me means you see yourself as someone who holds high value. So you distinguished meaning you're being shown for something great. I feel the message here is greatness begins with you, or feeling of greatness begins with you. So it's important for you to, again, monitor your thoughts in terms of how you choose to see yourself next versus others. And this is not a message to say you should compare yourself. It's quite on the contrary. But since you don't compare yourself anyway, how do you normally see yourself in terms of others? Very, very important. So this is connecting clearly to one's value about themselves, or one's not value system, but value, how valuable you think you are. The word contentment was also shown to me, and I wrote that word and I'm thinking, wonder what that means. So let me see if I can open that up. At the end of the day, all we ever want is to feel a certain way that makes us feel, that tells us everything is okay. There is a level of contentment that comes with that feeling. And that feeling is attainable by every single individual. Problem is that we seem to feel that needs to be attained by some other means, usually sources outside of us. So the word contentment here is symbolizing almost as a reminder to make sure you know where you stand currently in terms of you and who you are and what you think you represent to the world. Because the world will see you based on how you see yourself. In other words, you will project aspects of you to those outside of you, and it will come back to you. You guys know the drill. I feel like part of the contentment is also to recognize your thought patterns, which means monitoring what you're thinking and questioning, is this still okay for me? Or perhaps this is something I don't want to participate in anymore. And because you have a lot of swords in your messages here, I feel like most of you who are hearing this are undergoing a remarkable mental overhaul. And that also tells me that Sometimes it may feel disturbing, or it may feel like life is not treating you very fairly, but in reality what is happening is you are being prepared for what's to come, generally much more positive. But in order for you to be prepared, you need to let go of some things, or some things need to be shaken up in order to be let go of you. In other words, when we go through an end of a cycle, an end of a chapter, whatever you want to call it, there is a need to let go of certain things. And as we are all transitioning to different frequency, as I mentioned, it is important that we begin to pay attention to our thoughts, which are mostly not conscious, so that we become aware of what we choose to create every time we think. Because thoughts are creative. Emotions are what attracts the experience. In other words, if you're constantly thinking things as an autopilot, and those thoughts have a heavy vibration in terms of a feeling, chances are you will complicate life for yourself going forward, even in the higher frequencies, because you'll continue to create the same old. So I feel like this is a very long way of saying times are changing and you are shifting. And as a result of such shift, you will begin to see the responsibility you hold for yourself in order to turn your life around the way you want to. For some of you, it is about facing an addiction that you have or you participate in order to numb some feelings or some emotions. And though it proves to be a temporary solution, chances are that long term it often has devastating consequences. And if you have any sort of addictions, whether it be drugs, sex, rock and roll, or addiction to a person who mistreats you, or being addicted to overgiving, or being addicted to people who are needy. We are addicted to many things other than the obvious. When we have those addictions, it is because we are trying to fulfill something that is missing inside of us, or so we think. Because we're never really missing anything. We're just not able to see it for whatever reason. So thoughts are very important, and therefore it is important that you pay attention to what you think and what you think about, so that you effectively can create a change in your life, presuming this is what you're looking for, or you're looking for guidance. Otherwise you wouldn't be listening. So that's the word contentment. Now, the energy, I've got two cards that represent the energy for the month of December, and I feel like they're completely different. So let me see how this goes. The first message you have is Moonlight. This is about trusting the unknown. This is about trusting your intuition. If you have something on the go, if you are trying to figure something out, if you are trying to put something together and you're feeling stuck, and that's the other thing I was seeing. I saw many of you were waiting for something to start, waiting for some solution, waiting for some resolution, waiting for something. And if that is the case for you, paying attention to your intuition in a month of December and January for some of you is very, 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 very important. Also, pay attention to your dreams for those of you who interpret dreams or know how to interpret dreams, as these will give you another set of tools or another set of clues that can help you establish where you are emotionally, because we vent our emotions through our dreams as well. That's why dreams are mostly, not always, but mostly metaphors. So paying attention to intuition is hugely, hugely important. Always ask yourself, is how do I feel about it? For those of you who are thinkers, this is going to be not an overly comfortable place to go to, because if thinking is what you're always used to, if you live in your logical place, then feeling your intuition is probably something you're not used to. And if that's the case, you'll have difficulty feeling what your intuition wants to tell you. So for those of you who don't feel comfortable with emotions, See if in the month of December you can allow yourself to feel a little bit more than you are normally used to. And this is so interesting because if you really think about it, everything that we are trying to achieve, at the end of the day, we do it for one reason and one reason only. And that is that whatever the end result is, represents a certain feeling or emotion that we are after. If we want a relationship, well, we want to feel loved and settled and all that stuff. If we want to have a good job, it's because we want to feel successful, we want to feel important, and a host of other things. In other words, everything that we achieve or we are wanting to achieve stems from the fact that we want to feel a certain way. So if you are a thinker and if you don't like to feel, if what you are after is connected to a feeling at the end, then if you're not allowing yourself to feel now, what's the point of trying to create whatever you're after, right? A lot of it is to do with money, so this would be financially based, or some of it will be around relationships. It is all with regards to you being responsible for your own happiness. And I know I've said this before. For some of you, you need to take this message seriously. And I guess for those of you who this is meant, perhaps you're looking for easy way out. And what I mean by this, choosing not to look in the mirror and choosing to not see what you are putting into this creation, or in other words, how you contribute to where you're at, it's time for you to start paying attention. Okay, so that's a message for some of you, obviously not for all of you. Intuition, hugely important. Month of December is also a very touchy-feely month. Not for everyone, of course, but many of us are experiencing holidays and celebrating different things. So there's a lot of feelings and emotions. After all, why do we create holidays? So that we can get together and relax and have fun and feel good. All feeling, right? So December is a very good month to practice particularly feeling good. Now, another part of December's energy is self-embrace, but it's in reverse. So this is a message for those of you who are stuck in your pain, and it is proving to be not only uncomfortable, but it's an anchor that's holding you back. And this may translate itself to you feeling anger or resentment towards something that happened yesterday or long time ago, and you are not willing to let go of. So obviously it's not going to be tomorrow, because if somebody does something to you, then yeah, feeling anger and resentment is a absolutely appropriate emotion. However, if we hold on to it for too long, then it ends up clouding our vision for the future and it keeps us stuck. So if you have any sort of ill feelings towards a person or persons who have hurt you, who have deceived you, who have betrayed you, who have disappointed you, who have made fun of you, whatever it is that felt shitty, pardon my French, ask yourself this question: is me continually holding on to that pain going to give me what I want in the end? And remember, what every single human wants at the end is some sort of contentment and peace in heart. So chances are you come back with the answer that will be no, that will not bring me closer to where I want to go. Therefore, you're standing in front of a choice or decision that you will have to make. Also, it is important for those of you who need to hear it that keeping yourself stuck by constantly fueling anger and resentment towards a situation, you are perpetually making yourself a victim. You are always at the space where things happen to you and you feel you have no control. And it's time to take your control back. And I think I've said this before. I almost got a feeling in my ear here. It's like my perception just widened. when you allow yourself to let go of holding on to a grudge, holding on to a pain, holding on to resentment and anger, it is as if you pull from something that drags you down and literally takes your energy, wastes your energy. Why? Because you're constantly plugged in to that feeling. I always say it isn't about not feeling. Quite on the contrary, when we don't feel, we have a whole bunch of problems. We cannot suppress emotions for too long. Emotions are meant to be felt. That's why you're here in this physical body. We're here to experience a felt perception. So, for those of you who need to let things go, acknowledge yourself for who you are today by looking at the life that you led, and notice how life has a way of making you stronger, and when you look back, you can see it. What I'm trying to say here is, see if you can shift your attention on what some of the experience that you are holding grudge on or anger on or resentment towards, how these experiences shaped you in a way that made you stronger. Chances are you will come up with at least one thing, and there are many, where you will be able to clearly see that. When you do, I want you to see it as a gift that comes out of often unfortunate situations. Why? Because unless you see a value in it, unless your mind can recognize it got something from it, you can then easier detach and let go of something that no longer serves you. You're also choosing to not be a victim any longer. You're choosing to take your power back. Always remember, your power is not gone. It's just for some reason, whatever that is to you, you're choosing not to see it. Okay, let's move on. The message of paradox is coming up. So paradox is when all of a sudden our thinking starts to shift, and all of a sudden what we once thought is impossible is visible right in front of us. I'm trying to find the words to explain what I mean, but I can't figure it out in a way that would help to express this for you. So I would like you to look at the word paradox. Do not be surprised if you experience such thing in the month of December and January, particularly December, end of December, January. You might surprise yourself. Let me just feel more into it. Also, I feel like for some of you, life is pushing you forward, and it is not a comfortable thing to go through. It's not a comfortable place to be. I want to say, if this is you, that if there is some force pushing you, if things are coming in such a way that you're just being pushed, life is just moving you forward, it is because where you currently are right now, you're not supposed to be there anymore. And something else awaits you. But in order for that something else to be you, part of you, you have to first let go of what is holding you back from it. For some of you, this is the fast movement in terms of things happen very quickly, and all of a sudden in a period of 6 months, you find your life to be completely different than before. Now, generally speaking, for most of you, this isn't going to be the case. It's not going to happen that quickly. But I feel for some of you, it's going to be the proverbial tower moment. And I like the tower. Some people don't like towers. Some people fear the tower. Some people hate the tower. I don't. Tower is just a message, just a tool, help us understand that whatever is happening in our life that we seem to have no control over, it is only because something bigger than us can see the bigger picture and we can't. So things are being created in such a way to help move us from point A to point B. And in order to do that, we have to look at our foundations. We have to look at what is preventing us from being great, what is preventing us from feeling full, what is preventing us from feeling contentment. So I actually like the Tower because it shifts our level of perception, which shifts your experiences going forward. So look up the word paradox. Oh, the other thing that I'm being shown, and I just looked at the clock, it was 222. So repeating numbers for you, there's a message there too. I saw a wolf. For those of you who like animal symbolism, I will invite you to look at what that means. Look up animal totem wolf and see what messages you get from there. It was shown to me, I saw this wolf standing on a cliff, and it was howling, and it was full moon. Some of you may have a connection to full moon. Some of you have connection to this animal. For some of you, it's both. Some of you are shamans and you know it. Some of you are shamans and have no idea. It doesn't matter. Point is that there's an important message for you to see there. Also, here's the moon again. Instincts, intuition, wolves are very instinctual mammals. Mammals? Yes. They're very sharp. Their intellect is very sharp. They don't waste time on things that are not working. They take care of the eldest in their tribe. So there's a lot of messages that's there for you. I also want to say that it symbolizes to me, in this instance, a leader. Some of you have been shying away from being a leader in your own life, and you have resorted to life less than as a result, okay, or as a consequence. Now, blind enthusiasm, this is an interesting message because let me just feel into this. I always have difficulty with this card because every time the message comes very different. What I want to say here is, don't be too hasty. What's the rush? When I tune into this message, I feel like I'm blindly searching after something, but I am not looking at the long-term results, or I'm not even asking myself the question if I really want it. It's almost as if I'm programmed to think that way, and that's as far as I take it, and I just follow it. So what I would like to ask you, if you have a tendency to rush onto things that you later regret, if you have a tendency to blindly follow, not your intuition, and intuition isn't to be followed blindly either. Intuition doesn't work that way. It's your guides. Your guides will need you to trust them, but they'll give you clues. They will not leave you high and dry. That is for sure. Point is, if you are blindly following somebody else's idea of what's important, you are missing the point of why you're alive in the first place. You're not supposed to live by somebody else's ideas. You're supposed to make your own rules. Now, obviously, I'm talking about living in a society where we have certain rules in order for people to behave. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you choose to express your individual personality in this thing called life. Good intention is a message that to me symbolizes, again, pay attention to your intention. This is a message particularly for those of you who seemingly with good intentions, you have an agenda. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you're a parent who adores their kids, but you have a tendency to overbaby them. And you do it because you say you're a mother, and that's the way things are, and there's nothing wrong with that. And let's say your children are 20 and 30 and they live at home, and you cook them dinner and all that stuff, and to you it's pretty appropriate because that's how you express your love. The other side of that coin is that asking yourself really why you choose to do that would be very important. Why? Because you know very well that if we overbaby our babies, they never learn to fly. Number one, they will have no reason to fly. They will need no wings because you provide everything they need. The other part of that is that when you're not there, their wings go with you. You have not given them the opportunity to find their wings so that when you're not around, they can take flight and roam as they will. And that's obviously all a metaphor. So with the intention component, you might realize that when you ask yourself a really deep question, why am I doing this? Why is this so important to me? You might begin to see perhaps that for you, you're deathly afraid of feeling abandoned. So you keep your family as close as you can to your chest because your fear is that if you don't, they will leave you. So what may initially feel or seem to be a good intention can actually have negative consequences for somebody else. So I would invite you to notice that within yourself in whatever situation you're dealing with in life. Doesn't mean this is going to apply to all of you, but it definitely is coming up for some of you. Last but not least, rejecting emotion. Here we go about feeling again. And then we speak about that at the very beginning. I bet many of you who are listening to this have difficulty feeling, and I've expressed that earlier. When we have difficulty feeling or when we deny ourselves feeling, we will have very difficult time distinguishing our true intention. Because our intention is based on a feeling we are trying to experience, get, acquire, whatever that is. Remember, everybody wants to be happy. Well, happy is a feeling. So everybody's always after the same thing. It just looks different to us for various people. I feel like these messages go hand in hand. You need to ask yourself, what are your pure intentions? What is behind the things that you do for others? Seemingly out of help. And in order for you to really, really, really know that, you have to allow yourself to feel. I mentioned before, when we reject emotions, we lock ourselves in a self-made prison. We become overly intellectual and we often feel lost. And the reason for it is that we both have emotional body and intellectual body. Therefore, we need both, at least both, in order to thrive, not just survive. Many people are afraid to feel emotions. The scariest part is the feeling part because it doesn't feel good generally, right? But unless you allow an emotion to work through you, you'll always be pushing something back that eventually will be triggered and cause potentially problems in your life. So learning how to feel is hugely, hugely important. And again, because December for many people seem to be connected to people and feeling good, it's a good time to allow yourself to feel. Is there anything I need to move on? A bit of a paradoxical message, here you go. Solitude is something that is being prescribed to you at this time. At the same time, the messages are, it's a good time to feel or to learn how to feel. Perhaps feeling for you is done where you are independent and nobody can see you. If that's the case for you, then find some time where you can find a peaceful alone space and you can allow yourself to feel in your own comfort zone. For some of you, this is a message that you need to get into some sort of a meditative state. Why? Well, for one, it allows you to heal your mind. It quiets your mind. It certainly calms your mind down, which allows you to be less stressed and less anxious. But also, the quieter the mind gets, the closer you get to feeling and hearing your intuition much more clearly. And at the end of the day, every single human has intuition. It's part of who we are. Our intuition is designed to help and navigate us in our life. Our soul communicates through our intuition, our guides, our angels, your God, whatever you want to call it. Anything that you can't see that you deem spiritual communicates through your intuition. It's like your Siri. Your intuition is like your Siri. So it's important that you learn how to trust it. And it's important that you learn how to hear it. It's important that you learn how to distinguish fear from intuition. And the only way you will be able to do that is if you begin to feel all those various feelings. I'm not asking to get stuck in it. We already talked about that. Being stuck in it doesn't produce favorable results either. It is about acknowledging what is happening, drawing conclusions that will serve you in a positive way, and choosing to no longer feel that way. You making the statement in yourself saying, I choose to no longer be angry, you will then move towards that goal. And all of a sudden, I just saw the person who I had in my vision who was sitting down, all of a sudden gets up and starts moving on. There's something in this for you that will allow you to, that will, what's the word I want to use? That will end the waiting period and you'll move it into action. I also want to say this to you. We are all meant to be independent thinkers. Be one. And I could go and talk about what this message means, but I feel you can see it very clearly. Be an independent individual. Make your own rules, obviously within the limit of society. Create your own rules and imaginations. Create your life the way you want to live, not by somebody else's standards. In other words, be your own leader. Be your own magician. And follow your intuition. And with that said, I feel I want to leave that with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this for you. Thank you for liking, for sharing. If you would like to comment how this helps you or how this fits in your life, I would love to read that. And of course, if you would like a private session with me, that information is down below for you. Thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck. Happy holidays if you are, what's the word? Not practicing, if you are observing, okay? Celebrating, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.